Is life truly unfair? It's fortunate that we live in a modern world where we don't have to kill each other anymore to survive, but that is perhaps just in a literal sense. Peek beneath the surface and you'll notice that we are at competition with one another anyway. This is perhaps not necessarily a negative thing. However, pretending that we are our only competition is nothing short of a fairy tale. It's true that competing with our own selves is much more practical, achievable, and should be given a higher priority. However, competing with our own selves is kind of a hack that ultimately achieves the purpose of winning the larger competition that is against others. It's just that when we compete with others, this others is really obscure and a vague entity. The idea of winning isn't just solely rooted in our need for validation. Validation is most certainly a component, but the drive to conquer is something we have been programmed ever since the birth of humanity. Call it Mother Nature's trick, but jealousy and this idea of falling behind makes us climb mountains we wouldn't otherwise bother climbing. In ancient times, this idea of falling behind was even more literal, as this meant nothing short of death, and therefore the incentive to win was even more. The motivation behind why we compete varies from person to person in modern times, and the previously mentioned motivators influences us to varying degrees. However, the fundamental signature of this drive is all quite similar to one another. One of the most powerful motivators in life is that it is unfair, or so we are told. Apparently, that seems to make sense, as some are born poor and some rich. Some are born blind while others are born with vision, so on and so forth. The defaults that we are born with largely varies from person to person. One must therefore work towards tilting the scale in the favor, knowing full well that some might have to tilt more than others. This idea of unfairness seems utterly negative and gloomy to even discuss. It's almost used as a pass for mediocrity and failure. But like all excuses, it's just a balm that provides us with momentary relief from the inevitable blow that comes along with facing the cold, harsh reality of one's miseries. But we rarely look at life this way, that it holds all of us to the same ending standard, despite us not starting from a place of same starting standard. Life seems unfair because our definition of fairness is often extremely narrow and myopic. If the condition we discussed is unfair, then the implied idea of fairness is this strangely boring utopian ideal where people have the exact same starting conditions and situations. It is essentially where people lead the exact same lives. There is simply no variation. It would seem that by this definition, any variety of flavor in Mother Nature is what is ultimately causing this unfairness. So why does the wage gap exist, you may ask? Why does a supermodel get paid way more than a janitor? We like to think that society rewards those who do the best work. The definition of best is extremely obscure. Decisions in society aren't made on the basis of the parameter of virtue. As kids, our schools tried to instill a false sense of fairness. The rules and reward systems that promoted fairness were artificially constructed by authorities to give us a false sense of direction. It's a bit like a video game where the rewards are artificial and its rules aren't inherent to the system, rather programmed by the designer. What that ended up doing was build a rather strange relationship with virtue. We followed virtues to win the prize of being recognized as virtuous, and not because of our innate desire to embody it. Funnily enough, this entire model that's designed to artificially motivate us towards virtue is kind of a self-defeating process that ends up watering down the true meaning of virtue. Imagine this: a competition to find who's the most humble in a group, and the winner ending up being proud of his achievements. In real life, we don't have this artificial judge who judges us based on our virtues or what should be or shouldn't be. In real life, we just have a jury, and the drama is a psychological one. Real life judges you on the number of people you can impact, the extent to which you impact, and the nature of the impact. Make an award-worthy full-length blockbuster at home with no audience at all, and you are a nobody. Make a short film that goes viral on YouTube, and you're now a recognized filmmaker. At a logical level, the rewards should have been more for the one who made the blockbuster, because he clearly put in more effort and time, right? But we know that's not the case. So is the world unfair? Or did we fail to recognize what the actual rules were, all the while getting seduced by this all-purpose explanation of victimhood? If you really look at it, the idea of fairness is rooted in self-interest. Anything that doesn't accommodate us at our current position is unfair. Not getting a job isn't so much about you as much as it is about not being able to meet a certain set of criteria. Oftentimes, the set criteria is way different from the actual set of criteria. There is perhaps a bit of deception in that regard. However, the actual final criteria still holds you as accountable as the rest. For example, if someone got the job because he knew the HR, then having a rapport with the HR was a hidden criteria, and it was as potent a criteria as it was to be particular about one's personality, CV, presentation, and everything that is commonly known. We are nothing more than a set of ideas held together. Take them apart piece by piece, and the idea of I falls apart. At a physical level, we are neither just a skin, hair, flesh, or bone, but rather a combination of those. At a metaphorical level, we are a combination of ideas and can't be defined by just one. Yet, we grasp onto this malleable, ever-drifting idea of identity like it's the ultimate thing. It's the same thing with attraction. You think life is unfair because you got rejected. In truth, an idea got rejected and you happened to embody it. People fundamentally fall in love with ideas. It's just that it's difficult to separate these ideas from the one embodying it. Our toxic ideal of what fairness is this dull, monotonous, and homogeneous configuration of Mother Nature where everything is the exact same, happens at the exact same time, and the exact same manner, so that no one is on the receiving end of disappointment. However, come to think of it, a lackluster and bland world that's fair would actually have disappointment in store for everyone in it, for in its attempt to accommodate everyone, it would accommodate no one. It involves sacrificing the concept of variety altogether. There would be no romance because you would love everyone equally. In recognizing the separation between the ideas we embody and the one embodying it, will we be able to truly change our relationship with our world from hostile and toxic to one where we acknowledge how this benefits the world at large and us as a consequence. If you loved this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel for more such content. Thank you for watching.